So when we think about a business failing, our mind usually goes straight to profit and loss.
Right, the numbers.
Exactly. The
Okay.
revenue dried up, the margins got squeezed, maybe the market just shifted. But for this deep dive, we found a much more fundamental and, frankly, a more insidious truth.
Hmm.
It's not always about earning. It's about architecture. Our sources quote this, and it's powerful. Most South African business owners don't fail because their company isn't profitable. They fail because everything sits in the wrong place.
That phrase, everything sits in the wrong place, that should be a huge red flag for any entrepreneur listening right now.
It really should.
So today, our mission is to move you from that place of vulnerability to, well, to rock-solid security. We are going to unpack the exact architecture of wealth protection using strategic trust and company structures. This is all about creating what we call generational security.
The longevity.
And longevity for your business, no matter what shocks come your way.
Exactly. So if you're serious about building an estate, if you're an entrepreneur, or you've been successful enough to start accumulating some real assets, this conversation is basically your shortcut. We're going to show you the precise principles wealthy families use to firewall their assets against risk, and how you can apply those same principles right now, specifically here in the South African context. Okay, let's just dive right in then. If the core problem is that everything is sitting in the wrong place, what exactly is the core mistake our sources keep highlighting?
Well, the fundamental error, it comes from a failure to recognize the duality of every profitable business.
Duality.
Yeah, every business is made up of two distinct, almost opposing forces. The mistake is keeping both of those components locked together, usually under your personal name.
That feels a little counterintuitive. I mean, I started the business, I own the business. Isn't the point to blend the risk and the reward?
And that's the trap. That's what exposes so many founders. For legal and protection purposes, binding them together is fatal. You have to clearly distinguish between risk and value.
Okay, risk and value.
The risk component, you see, that's the engine. It has to be allowed to fail safely. That's your daily operations, your staff, your debt, contracts, all the inherent liabilities that come with trading.
And the value.
The value is the prize. That's the hard-earned wealth, the shares, the profits, the intellectual property, the brand goodwill, the assets you hold for the long term. When you keep the shares of your operating company in your personal name, you've tied that high-risk engine directly to your personal estate.
Wow. So it's like putting your house on the line for a jet from the office stationery supplier.
That's a perfect analogy, and it leads directly to that terrifying before scenario our sources describe.
Complete chaos and total exposure. What are the symptoms? How do you know if you're in that chaotic state?
Chaos is the right word. And the symptoms are so common for South African business owners. You've got the company shares held in the founder's personal name, retained profits just sitting there in the operating company's bank account, personal sureties signed.
Oh, the personal sureties.
Yes. And crucially, no formal trust in place that actually owns the entire structure.
And the immediate consequence of that setup.
Total vulnerability. The sources are blunt. One devastating event. A lawsuit from a disgruntled partner, a messy divorce, an unexpected death, it can wipe out everything.
And not because the business wasn't profitable?
No, not because it wasn't earning millions a year, but because it wasn't architected to keep what it earned safely. The problem wasn't earning the wealth, it was the failure to protect it.
That's the key distinction. Not the earning, but the keeping. So how do we fix this architecture? This is where the asset protection fortress comes in.
The fortress. It's built on one core principle: separation. We have to separate ownership from risk. This guarantees the long-term value assets are protected, even if the trading part of the business takes a major hit.
So if we look at that fortress, it's really three distinct components, right? Three vehicles all working together. And I think it's critical we spend some time here because understanding what each part does is everything.
Absolutely. Each vehicle has to stick to its lane. So let's start with the engine. The vehicle designed for growth and calculated risk. That's your operating company, or the OpCo.
The OpCo.
Its job is clearly defined: trading, generating revenue, scaling, employing people. It's the active functional part of the business. But, and this is the crucial part, while OpCos are excellent at growth, they are terrible at protection.
Because that's where the risk lives.
Exactly. They are inherently exposed. And that is precisely why you should never personally own the shares of your OpCo.
Got it. The OpCo is the high-risk, high-reward cash generator. So what's the safety net? What protects the value it creates?
That is the heart of the entire structure. That is the family trust, the fortress
The
itself.
fortress.
This vehicle is designed purely for protection and continuity. It is explicitly not for trading. It is a passive owner. Its only job is to own the shares and hold the long-term value, protecting those core assets from any personal risk faced by the founder.
And the protections here they're huge for a South African family, right? It's more than just creditor protection.
Oh, they are massive.
Right.
We are talking about asset protection from creditors, yes, but also divorce protection assets in a properly run trust don't form part of your personal estate in a divorce claim.
That's huge.
It is. Then there's seamless succession planning and significant mitigation of estate duty taxes. It's about keeping wealth out of your personal name, ensuring control across generations, and minimizing those huge tax hits that happen at death.
Okay, so there's a third component you mentioned.
Yeah.
It's optional, but you said it's incredibly powerful. The holding company, or the holdco. Why is that middle layer so effective?
The holdco is the strategic buffer. It provides that clean line of separation. It sits between the trust, which is the ultimate owner, and the opco, the trader.
So it's a shock absorber.
The financial shock absorber, exactly. Its main job is to centralize profits and limit cash exposure. The opco declares dividends up to the holdco. This means retained earnings and cash are quickly moved out of that high-risk operational environment.
So instead of having, say, 2 million rand sitting in the opco's bank account where a lawsuit could freeze it,
Right.
the holdco is holding that cash, totally insulated from the opco's daily liabilities.
Precisely. If the opco takes a massive legal hit, the claim stays contained there. Its most valuable asset. The cash has been strategically moved out. And the holdco gives you flexibility. It can fund new ventures or safely lend money back to the opco for expansion, all without exposing the core wealth.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because once this structure opco trading, trust-owning, holdco buffering is in place, the sources all confirm that the exact same business achieves a completely different outcome when stress arrives.
Oh, it's night and day. Look at the after benefits. The trust owns the holdco, which owns the opco. This defense in depth means the business risk stays safely contained. If the opco gets sued, the family is insulated. We've replaced chaos with continuity.
There's a powerful case study in the sources that illustrates this. I think we need to share it.
We do. It's a textbook example of prevention. So there's this business owner in Cape Town running a successful consulting firm about our $15 million in turnover.
A solid business.
A very solid business. But, like most, he personally owned 100% of the shares. Then a serious legal dispute arose with a major client. A massive 7-figure claim. And the owner panicked.
Because it wasn't just a business problem anymore.
Exactly. Through personal sureties he had signed, the business claim became a personal claim. The entire structure, shares, cash, future earnings, his house was exposed. But once they paused and implemented the fortress structure, moving the shares into a family trust with a holdco buffer.
Yaktim changed.
Completely. The opco continued trading and absorbed the hit, but the value, the underlying shares, the retained earnings in the holdco was protected. The claim could only attack the opco's assets, but the foundational wealth was safe. The business not only survived, it scaled again the next year. That is what security looks like.
That story really drives home the urgency. You said it has to be preventative, not reactive. You can't wait until you see the headlights of the oncoming truck.
That is the #1 message from all the sources. You have to do this before a lawsuit, before a divorce, before a SARS audit. Once that risk arrives on your doorstep, moving assets can be legally seen as an attempt to defraud creditors.
And that invalidates the whole thing.
It nullifies every protective measure you tried to put in place. The courts can just claw it all back. Remember, you don't build wealth just by earning money. You build wealth by keeping what you've built. And keeping requires preemptive decisions.
Okay, so a structure this powerful must involve some serious complexity. What are the most critical details South African business owners need to get right to make sure their fortress is legally sound and won't just be dismissed as a sham?
This is where precision and compliance are everything. It really separates the truly protected from the exposed. We can boil it down to 3 non-negotiable areas.
Let's start with the people involved.
First, the trustee requirement. For a family trust in South Africa, you are legally required to appoint at least 1 independent trustee. This is absolutely vital.
Why so vital?
For impartiality, to ensure the trust operates correctly. If you, the founder, are the sole trustee and you're treating the trust bank account like your own personal piggy bank, the court will collapse that structure in a heartbeat.
So for a founder who wants to maintain control, that independent trustee feels like a loss of power, but really, they're the legal firewall that makes the whole thing valid.
That's it exactly. Their role is to ensure decisions are made for the benefit of all beneficiaries, not just the founder. It's your proof to SARS and the Master of the High Court that this is a genuine legal vehicle.
Okay, second area, and this is often the most painful if it's ignored. Taxation.
Yes, the tax rules for trusts can be severe if they're not managed strategically. If you just let income pile up and retain it inside the trust, the tax consequence is brutal. Income is taxed at a flat rate of 45%,
Wow.
and capital gains tax is at an effective rate of 36%.
That's basically a penalty rate, isn't it?
It is. It's designed to force sophistication. It means you have to do strategic planning. You have to decide when and how to distribute income to beneficiaries to use their lower tax rates. Without specialized guidance, you're just giving away money unnecessarily.
And the third area, the tightrope walk of control versus validity. How do you maintain that balance?
That's the critical operational discipline. You can stay involved as a director of the OpCo, even as a trustee, but you must maintain strict separation of control.
What does that look like in practice?
It means documenting every decision, holding formal trustee meetings, keeping proper minutes, ensuring the trust pays for its own expenses from its own funds. The moment you use trust assets to pay for your personal groceries, the structure becomes vulnerable.
That level of detail confirms you can't just download a generic template. The sources all highlight that this needs a custom approach built around real-world needs.
Correct. And that's why that expertise is the missing key for so many people. You need someone who lives and breathes this architecture, and that is the role of a specialized trust consultant.
They do more than just draft the documents.
So much more. They simplify the jargon, they ensure you stay compliant with SARS and the master's office, and they perform annual structure reviews, what they call a fortress review, to keep it strong against changing laws or personal circumstances. That continuous guidance is what moves you from exposure to genuine long-term protection.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? The major takeaway from this deep dive is clear. A company grows your income, but a trust protects your outcomes. Together, they create legacy. If you recognize yourself in that before picture shares in your personal name, no trust, a structure that just evolved, it's probably time for a professional review.
And for listeners who realize they need that personalized guidance to build their asset protection fortress, we wanted to mention that trust consultant Lunka Sturman is focused specifically on empowering South African small business owners to do this. Her entire mission is to provide clarity and long-term security through practical, personalized solutions.
So if you're ready to identify your risks and finally understand how to separate ownership from liability the way wealthy families do, you can explore the guidance she offers. You can find out more and connect with trust consultant Lumka Sturman at her website, www.lumkasturman.com.
And here's a final thought to leave you with. Given that structuring is preventative, not reactive, what potential risk, be it a lawsuit, a complicated divorce, or an unexpected death, are you currently protecting your family from by choosing to do nothing?